how was everybody's weekend?
Great, amazing. Oh my goodness.
Good morning, class.
Good morning. Morning.
How are you all doing today? Doing well? Yes. Today is going to be a really big day. I'm very excited. We are learning about clocks today. It's going to be a very wonderful and exciting day. So the first thing about this clock that I want you to notice is it's made of a couple of main parts. This beam across the top is called the folio, and it does this thing where it swings back and forth like this. This is actually called the mad folio dance. Yes, Diana?
I thought clocks were use electricity.
Not always. When they were first invented, this clock actually ran by gravity. It would have a couple of ropes that were attached here, and the weights would fall down, and that weight was used to help
This
turn
really
the
does
spindle.
not look like a clock.
Isn't that a clock? Can't you just put a battery in it and let it go?
Well, that's a more modern day clock. Clocks,
But why do we care if this isn't a modern day clock?
because this clock is what led to that clock. If we didn't have this clock, we would never have that clock. You wouldn't know what time it is right now. You'd be like, oh.
What time is it?
Okay. You know, it is 2:45. So this clock that starts off is made of that big part called the folio, which is attached to the verge.
Still doesn't make sense.
All right, class, this obviously isn't going anywhere, so I think our best bet is to go out and use our location as a laboratory. So we're going to go to Salisbury. We are going to see the oldest functioning clock.
Wait, are we in Salisbury now? Why, yes, Whitney, we are. We're in Salisbury, which is about 90 miles from London, where Greenwich is the prime meridian. Do you guys know anything that might be important here? Or anything about Salisbury in general?
Wasn't it established around 1200?
1220, duh.
And wasn't it a Roman fort, too?
Yeah, and I think it has a really cool cathedral over here. Let's go find it.
There it is! All right, class. So now that we're here, does anybody know which cathedral this is? I think my mom told me about this. I think it used to be called the Cathedral Church of the Blessed Virgin Mary, but then it had a shorter nickname of the Cathedral of St. Mary.
But now it's just called Salisbury Cathedral.
Cool. Does anybody know anything about the cathedral, like when it was built?
Wasn't it built in 1220 until 1258?
Wow, only 38 years. That's amazing. But why are we here? Because this cathedral is home to the oldest functioning Virgin folio clock. It's pretty cool. Let's go take a look. Look, it's this way.
Among the chief clock makers in the world, what if they believe this is a real clock that was dates from 1386 or most of it is made.
All right, class. So here we are at the Salisbury Cathedral. Do you guys know what this is?
It's a weird thing. It doesn't have a clock face. Like, isn't it supposed to have a clock face? I'm so confused right now. Like, how can you tell the time? Also, there's no screws on it. What is this? I'm so lost. Teacher, please help me.
I think it's still a clock. I think it was just supposed to ring once a day, just to signify that it's noon.
Why would it matter if it's noon or not?
That was just when they needed to pray.
And did it have like a difference of like 30 minutes or so? So it wasn't exactly at noon? Something close to that?
Yeah, I don't think it was very accurate.
Interesting.
Very good,
What's
class.
the use of that for a clock? Shouldn't a clock be accurate?
It was hard to make them accurate at that time.
But it was used for prayer, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Very good, class. So what else do you notice about this clock?
I wonder what the power source is.
Oh, I think that's what you can see right here. All of the energy is stored in this little wheel, and usually it would be slowly turning and released by the ticking of the escapement. But right now, this little weight in the back has hit the bottom, so there's no more gravity to pull it down. And it needs to be rewound soon so it can start working again. And then, what's the thing that keeps it going?
Didn't you say something about a verge? And like, wouldn't this be the crown wheel that's supposed to be turning? And these little tiny pallets that are in there are what's stopping the wheel and then letting it go, and then the next one would stop the wheel and let it go. So the verge would control how much energy is released at a time. And so the wheel would only turn a tiny bit at a time when both the pallets aren't engaged, and then the next one would flop in and engage it.
Well, yeah, and the thing on top is called the folio. And at the end there's weights, and the weights and the length together control how fast the period is. And the longer and the more heavy weight it has on the end of it, it makes the period longer. And when that moves, it controls the little tick things that she was talking about that controls the crown wheel, and that was makes a tick-tock sound as it moves. But sadly, it's not working right now.
It needs to be wound.
But doesn't it remind you of that dance? What is it called?
The Folio dance, right?
Yeah! It's when you put your arms out like this and move it like this.
Right, class. Now that we know how the clock works, when do you think it was built? Who do you think made it?
Wasn't it like 1386, and I think by monks?
Very good. Why do you think it wasn't built by a clockmaker?
I don't think they had clockmakers at that time, but it wasn't used for the use of actually having time. So, very good.
So after it was built, do you guys know what happened to it after that?
I think it was replaced by another clock and then was pushed into the corner and gathered dust. People just forgot about it.
That's true. That's a very sad state of affairs. Did it just sit in the corner and rot? Obviously not, because they found it here right now. But what happened to it after that? Wasn't it found by like a clock enthusiast named T.R. Robinson, like sitting next to the new clock that they built in 1928? And he was like, hey, this should be restored because it's totally awesome. But it had a pendulum put on it, which was really weird because pendulums weren't around when this clock was made. But how was it restored?
In 1956, John Smithson restored it to its original condition.
Did they put the Virgin Folio back on it then?
Yeah, they took the pendulum off and replaced it with the Virgin Folio so that it would look and act how it did in 1986.
Seatbelts, everyone! Please let this be a normal field trip with a friend? No way!
Cruising on that main street, you're relaxing, feeling good. Next thing that you know, you see it. Push in the neighborhood, surfing on the sound wave, swinging through the stars. Take a left into me dancing, take your second right past Mars on the magic scuba. Navigator, nostril, time on the magic scuba. Make a plane turn two, on our magic scuba. Drop the river of lava, on magic scuba. Such fine things to do. So drop your bones back to the sea. Come on in and don't be shy. Just to make your day complete. You might get baked into a pie.